Hi, welcome to Wings, Wheels, and Wires. My name's Rich. Welcome to my first video. Today's video will be about the question, why buy an electric vehicle? So most people think that the only reason to buy an electric vehicle is to help the environment and save the planet, which is a true fact that it does do that, but it is not the only reason why you might buy one. There's a lot of other reasons. As of late, with Tesla becoming increasingly popular, some people buy electric vehicles as sort of a status symbol. Other people buy them because it's a lower cost of ownership, and we'll talk about that. Also, people sometimes buy them because it's lower. Well, the lower cost of ownership can break into both a lower cost in maintenance, and electricity costs less than gas in most places. And electric vehicles are more efficient than gas vehicles. One of the main reasons I bought my electric vehicle, all those played into it, but my primary reason was this car right here. This is my BMW Z3. It's a 1997, and I've had it for most of the time since then. And while it's had a few maintenance issues that are very specific to an internal combustion engine car. And we'll talk about some of those maintenance issues. Also, for me, the really big thing was every single year, when it became time for a smog check, I had to worry about whether or not it would pass it. Electric vehicles don't have smog checks. And this is actually even a problem for us with this vehicle right now, which is my wife's BMW 328. We barely drive it anymore because we mostly drive my car. And unfortunately, because of that, while it didn't fail the smog check, not all the monitors have cycled. BMWs are really picky about their monitors cycling. So because of that, it didn't get to actually pass until those monitors have recycled. So as you can tell, there's a few reasons. We're going to go into each of those reasons a little bit over the course of this video. So continuing on, let's start with the actual environmentally friendly part of this. Electric vehicles most certainly do have a lower carbon footprint in their operation, and this is including, in sometimes, like in the case of the i3, includes their production process as well. That's one of the arguments against electric vehicles, is that they have a higher carbon footprint in their production because of lithium and cobalt in the batteries. But that doesn't near offset as compared to all the pollution created by an internal combustion vehicle. Now, if you're not really that concerned about helping the environment in the big scheme of things, I know for me there is a part that's a little more everyday user friendly for that, and that for me is fumes, right? I know that especially now that I have an electric vehicle, if I have to drive my wife's, or even worse, we have a Nissan Armada, which is incredibly inefficient. When I'm driving that, I can actually, the noise, the fumes. If anyone of us have ever been next to a car that was having emissions issues, and you got all the smell, the fumes, you have to roll up your window because it's making you nauseous. That by itself, just not creating that, is an environmental piece that I think is really great. You know, that I'm not having issues where I'm causing all this pollution and noise for the people around me. So that's the environmental piece for me. Now, there's a prestige piece, which I don't necessarily buy into, where kind of, for some people, it's if it's a Tesla, for example, they're kind of expensive, so there's some prestige that goes with that. But there's also a virtue signaling piece that I think some people have, where it's like, look at me, I'm helping the environment, I'm awesome, you should do the same. I don't really buy into that. I do encourage people to look into these because of all the benefits, but I don't try to shame them into it because they aren't being environmentally friendly by driving a gas vehicle. Now, as far as the cost of ownership, so one, there's very little maintenance, and I have my brakes, and that's about it. My particular vehicle that we'll cover later is what's called a Rex, so it does actually have to have an oil change every year. We'll go into why that is and how that works later. But then there's also the fact that, for example, you can charge at home for very cheaply, or you can even go to a level 2 or 3 charger out in town, and get that, get it sometimes pretty cheaply. Sometimes level 3 chargers are a lot more expensive, but I can go do this And even there are some places, Volta, for example, is a charging company that doesn't actually, that you can actually charge for free. I know there's also a Tesla charger nearby where they actually have a bank of superchargers, but they also have two level 2 regular EV chargers that are absolutely free. So that is really awesome. You know, if you think about a gas vehicle, when's the last time you were able to get free gas? Then there's the repair cycle stuff, right? I mean, it's a vehicle, you're still going to have to replace tires and stuff like that, windshield wipers. But there's a lot of things. When we talk about my car, my old car, my Z3, it's a beautiful car, a lot of fun to drive, but it has not been without its issues. And a lot of these issues are things like cooling line, oil leaks. You have a lot of maintenance where you have to replace and repair stuff, especially as it gets older. And the thing I noted is a lot of the things that I've had to replace or repair are things an electric vehicle just doesn't have, right? You don't have to worry about replacing the catalytic converter. I've replaced like 4 of those on this. You don't have to worry about doing that. It just isn't a factor. So that is one thing that I really enjoy. As this vehicle has gotten older, I've had a couple issues. One of which is, each time I'm driving it, I'm wondering if it's going to break down on me today, right? What's going to go wrong today? Will it start? Will it break down somewhere during my trip? I have a 25-mile per direction commute, and there's actually some anxiety with that. Also, one of the things people talk about with EVs that we'll talk about later is called range anxiety, where you're not sure if you're going to be able to reach your destination. Well, this is nothing new for me with this car, because actually I ran out of gas once when it was still, still above the E just a little bit. I ran out of gas again when the light hadn't even come on. And the most recent time I ran out of gas, I was still above a quarter tank. The sensor for the gas tank is going bad. So as I realized as this happened, anytime I got below a half a tank, I started to get worried about, how far do I have to drive? How far is it to the next gas station? Do I know if I'm going to make it? So this range anxiety has actually been something that I started with a gas vehicle encountering. So going along with that, then you have the issue of the smog check, right? This vehicle, in the 18 years that I've owned it, has failed a smog check on 5 or 6 different years, and I've had to do things to repair it or to tweak it in order to have it be able to pass. And I was already looking to buy an electric vehicle. And considering to buy one, and then when this failed the smog check the most recent time, and it seemed like it might have been something wrong with the engine, I was like, you know what, that's it, I'm done, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is when I get my electric vehicle. So that's sort of, for me, the straw that broke the camel's back. All the things I talked about earlier, with the exception of the prestige part, I had already had tipped the scales for me to buy an electric vehicle, but that last smog check was pretty much the end of it. That's when I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to move into an electric vehicle. Now, let's talk about the price aspect. One of the big detractors for getting an electric vehicle that people suffer from is that most of them are pretty expensive. And it's because of the production of the batteries and things like that. And so that kind of keeps some people from going away, right? I can go ahead and get myself a under $30,000 vehicle in the subcompact or compact range. It does a lot of the same things that I need to do. So why would I spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for an electric vehicle? And that's a perfectly logical question, and I think that's one you should be asking. But the reality of it is, when you take some of those maintenance costs that I talked about, the upkeep things that you have, oil changes, stuff like that, and you mix how much less you spend for gas versus how much less you spend for electricity versus gas, the price really does balance out. I know Tesla has, if you go on their website, when you can do your build your own on the vehicle, it'll actually give you 2 different prices. It'll give you the price of how much the vehicle costs if you just to buy it, and then they have another one where it calculates in how much you're saving, and it actually makes a difference of a few $1,000s. So you mix that with some vehicles actually are still eligible for the federal tax credit. That is also up to $7,500 that you get to save as well. So the price difference isn't really there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can get an EV for cheaper on a later video. So please subscribe for updates, and thanks for watching my video. Your input is very welcome because I am trying to build this channel up. This is my first official video, so definitely some feedback, comments, hit the bell icon, all that. Thank you very much for watching this video if you've watched it this far, and have an awesome day.